What's up, brother? It's your boy, Mike Muse. Welcome to the Conversation, the Mike Muse Show. I am so excited to be in conversation with my next guest. As Jay-Z just said, what more can I say? This brother has been a trailblazer in Broadway, and I've watched him put production after production up on the boards, as they say in Broadway. I watched him put on some incredible productions and plays that have been so transformative. I have been moved by his productions on stage, but I've also been moved by the fact that a black man has been behind these productions. It is so tough to crack that space on the Great White Way, as they say, but Brian Moreland has found a way to do it with multiple plays. His first one was for a colored man. There may be some other ones, but that was my first introduction to him. I did that town hall. But then from there, he went on to do the piano lesson, which I also did that town hall. So I'm flexing for him and I'm flexing for myself. And he was supposed to be at that town hall audience that you may be aware of, but he had some car troubles that day. And so he could not get here. I think his tire, he'll explain it, but there was something to do with the tire. And then after that, I've been able to interview some of his other great talent, Denzel Washington with The Gladiator 2. Because I said that is because Denzel is now starring in his next production along with Jake Gyllenhaal in Othello. I'm just like, Brian Moreland, Denzel, and Jake. I mean, come on. And so I'm on the TBD, which I'm still shocked by for the town hall. So I'm waiting for that to get scheduled. You see what I did there, audience. I'm about to put him on blast and put him on the record. Denzel, you know your boy. You call me nephew. I call you uncle. We cousins now. We're both from Virginia. I don't understand what we're waiting on, but I digress. This is not about me. This is celebrate the incredible Brian Moreland, whose play Othello has broke records and beating Harry Potter. I repeat, Brian Moreland's play Othello has beat Harry Potter for second week gross ticket sales of, he's going to get the numbers right, but 2.8 million. I want to say 2.84 million, but Brian would tell me. Brian, what's up, man? Welcome.
Hi. Oh my gosh, what an intro. I'm so humbled and honored.
Yeah. Well, we're honored to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot the whiz. I forgot to say the whiz.
That's what it was. It was Thoughts of a Colored Man was your first one with me. That was the town hall.
But I forgot to say that you also too did the whiz.
Oh, yes.
I forgot.
True. That's
my
true.
God.
And it's back on the road now. You can see it.
An audience, let me tell you about the whiz. I did my best to be an unofficial co-producer with Brian Moreland in suggesting who I thought should play Dorothy in the whiz, and he did not take my recommendation, which is fine.
Oh.
I'll get over it. But I really did advocate for this one person. I'm not going to say her name, but I did advocate for her, and she didn't get it. I guess I'm not a producer on Broadway, which is fine. I get it. And I also too want to say, another big word. He is 2-time Tony nominated, so I also too forgot those. I mean, Brian, just so much to get through it because you're so just prolific. But let's correct that numbers. Is it 2.84?
2.83.
2.83.
Yes.
How do you feel beating Harry Potter? I mean,
I don't really think of it as like
Potter.
just beating. Listen, we were putting one foot in front of the other. I tell people all the time, I have tickets to sell. There are tickets to Othello. They're on sale right now for the Barrymore Theater.
And limited run and limited edition.
Limited run, 15 weeks only. We're only there until June 8th.
And I say that intentionally because, and you can tell Denzel this is going to help me land the town hall. I remember, you see.
Okay. Listen, we have to open the show. We open Sunday, March 23rd. We open that show.
Yeah.
I am going to personally go to both of them and ask, what do you guys think about coming to see Mike Muse?
Yeah.
I am certain he's going to say, my nephew. So, we're going to make that ask.
All right. And
he's
speaking
kind
of
of put
March
me on the
23rd,
spot.
audience, I'm pulling up my phone right now because I haven't, maybe it's in my spam from the opening night ticket. I hadn't got that yet. But I don't know. I digress. Okay. I digress.
He is like, can I go to the Oscars with you?
You're more than welcome. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I'm not executive producer.
Can I get a +1?
I'm not a producer.
Can I be your +1
I'm not a
at the
producer
Oscars?
on the Oscars. I'm talking to the producer of the show.
This man goes to the Oscars. He goes to the Grammys. He goes to
all of
the
it.
Emmys. And I'm like, I want to go.
But listen, you're the producer. You're in charge of the tickets. I just always have to check my inbox to refresh to make sure I get those tickets. Now, first of all, I want to thank God and to the Academy for always inviting me. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate that one, right? You know what I mean? And Brian, I'll do the same. I'll be in gratitude, baby. I'll be in gratitude.
I'm going to take care of it.
I appreciate that.
Hands down.
Hands out. Thank you. But the reason why I mentioned Denzel in particular for Julie was because, let me slow down. I'm so excited. I'm really excited to be in conversation with you. Denzel Washington, he did Julius Caesar. I missed it. And it was a lesson for me never to take what we have in New York City for granted, never to take culture for granted in New York City, never take for granted seeing an exhibition at a museum, never take for granted to see a Broadway play. So I kept just saying to myself, oh, there's time. And I look up and it was gone. And I've kicked myself seeing Julius Caesar. So that's why I'm so excited to be able to see Denzel in another Shakespearean role playing Othello on Broadway. I mean, that's just, for me, it's just mind blowing. So I kind of just want to get there immediately.
Let's go.
How does one conceive an idea, one, to bring Othello to Broadway? How does one have the audacity, after you decide you're going to bring Othello to Broadway, to invite Denzel to participate? I'm not even invite, because no one invites Denzel. Denzel chooses, right? Like, how do you approach Denzel to hope
he would say that, by the way.
Yeah, to
he
hope
would say that
he chooses Othello, and then Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, how does one have such the audacity?
I was really, really fortunate about 2 seasons ago now. I was really fortunate to do August Wilson's The Piano Lesson, as you mentioned. That cast was amazing. It had Samuel L. Jackson in it, Danielle Brooks, and John David Washington making his Broadway debut. And John David Washington is among many other attributes beyond his talent, whether it is in a sports arena or on the big screen or on the small screen. It's also on stage, and he also happens to be the son of Denzel Washington. And so our relationship really started from that show, and we knew we wanted to do something together. And so we started that conversation while Piano Lesson was happening. And then literally he calls up on FaceTime. Denzel loves a good FaceTime. And he calls and he's on the dais of the set of Gladiator in Malta. And he says, hold on. And he puts his co-stars on, and I'm like, hello, nice to see you. Because they go, he needs to do Othello. We're telling him that he needs to do Othello. We're telling him he needs to do Othello. And he goes, it's Othello. Go make it so. And I said, okay. That was it. So
wait, let me back up. Was it?
He's there.
No. I'm wondering did you know, was Othello in the conversation, or was the conversation need to do something, and then Denzel says, there's something I want to do is Othello. Now go figure out and make it happen. Because that also too is plausible for Denzel Washington.
Both,
because he's that guy. He can do that.
Yeah. So both happened. So like there was something that happened. There was something we were on that fell through, and then so there was like, okay, but I'm still thinking about this other, and the other was Othello.
Okay.
And he was kind of going, let me like noodle that through, and then the call came from the dais. This is what I'm thinking. They said it. I'm doing it. Go make it so. That was it. And so we got on that journey, and
Denzel Washington
here.
Deserves all of that. Denzel Washington deserves everything, to opt in when he wants, choose what he wants, dictate what he wants to do, and then have people go and produce that.
You know
that's
what?
amazing.
It's never a dictation.
Not a dictation. That's the wrong word.
It's an invitation.
It's an invitation.
It's your show, so the last thing I'll say is this, and I'll shut up.
No, please.
He's really big about saying that he really, really wants to work with new people and give back. And I'm like the lucky recipient that he's giving back to.
It's incredible.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it's an incredible all around. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm being a little bit too loose with the conversation. You want to get very proper on me. Okay, so I'll get proper, Brian. What I'm trying to say is a great thespian of an elk like Denzel Washington, who has done so much for culture, who has given so much to the arts. I do believe that once someone like him rises to the level of where he is in the thespian world, deserves the ability to be able to curate what he chooses to participate in, what he chooses to want to see on Broadway, to choose what he saw on the big screen. Like, he has earned that right to be able to do that. And so that was more of the playful color of Denzel. Of course, he wouldn't dictate, because he's an incredible scholar and a gentleman. He definitely wants to be in collaboration. But in my own mind, I have him so propped up. He is a demigod to me. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, he deserves
inside and out.
Yeah, I mean, what a great human being that was. Okay, so let's take this through, because, Brian, Broadway is such a cloak and dagger world, right? Like, how Broadway shows get produced is not the same way television gets produced, and it's not the same way that film gets to produce. So now we're going to just kind of walk me through how a Broadway play gets made. Okay, so you have this FaceTime on the set of Gladiator. We're doing it. Then what is next for everybody who's interested in possibly being a Broadway producer or is curious how the show gets made?
Okay, I'll use this one directly. So right after that FaceTime, the next FaceTime was with Kenny Leon.
Oh, it's amazing.
Tony Award-winning director,
Tony Award-winning.
Leon.
Incredible.
And Kenny Leon said, yes, of course. Then the next call was to Jake Gyllenhaal's agent. And then Jake said, yes. And then it was like, great. So then it was put those deals together. So I called my production council. The production council put that deal together. I called my GM over at 101. They put that next part together. And then I went out and started raising money. Once you raise your money, then you go and talk to your theater owner. And we're very fortunate the Schubert organization gave us a home.
It's a great organization.
Yeah. They gave us a home and returning us back to the Barrymore Theater where the piano lesson was.
It's amazing.
And raised the money, went into rehearsal, made our announcement, and we started previews on February 24th.
So, audience, this is how dynamic Brian Moreland is, because it doesn't work this smoothly for many producers. So I don't want y'all sitting in your homes in my great home state of Michigan thinking y'all about to move to New York and you're going to produce a play like that. You've got to have the bona fides like Brian Moreland in order for that to happen. He is being very kind and making it seem very pedestrian, but it is not pedestrian at all. Broadway is extremely challenging and tough, and plays don't get made that easy in the way that he has done it. And so I think, Brian, that is such a great testament to you. I want to lean into something, and I don't want to discuss numbers per se, but in my mind, Broadway is a tough entity to raise money on because of the margins, because of the fact that how much you have to tickets have to be sold each night in order to recoup, and you don't have a long runway in terms of space of engagements. And it's also too a fixed income, right? Like there's only a certain number of seats that are there. And then we also do have dynamic pricing audience. So I think like Ticketmaster, right? When you go see Beyonce concert or Taylor Swift concert, based upon demand, ticket price goes up, right? It's always at that pre-Tony price and then a post-Tony bounce, right?
Sure.
Kind of thing. So it's like dynamic pricing audience. I have a smart audience, Brian, so they're very aware of some of these things.
All right, I'll take it.
So that's why it's a risky investment for a lot of investors, in particular musicals. But this is what they call a straight play, which is a non-musical. So the even more a risk moment. With all that being said, I feel like just as much as you had a record-breaking grossing in 2 weeks, this had to be one of your most record-breaking fundraising plays, because I just can't imagine you call somebody and say, so, hey, how about this? Shakespeare, Othello, Denzel's lock, Jake's lock. Are you in?
So I will tell you. I will tell you there was a list.
Did it take a day?
No. There was a list. There was a list, and there was a waiting list. It
had to be. Talk your stuff, Brian.
It went quickly, but you're not wrong. Like there's like 1 in 5 shows actually recoup on Broadway. 1 in 5. So the margins are very, very tough. You're absolutely correct. The only difference when I think about pricing and tickets is that, I call it surge pricing. There's surge pricing and then there's dynamic ticket pricing. Like surge pricing is like the airlines, or, if you buy your seat closer to the date of travel, you're going to pay more money at that particular point in time. You buy it further out, you're going to pay less. So it's the same thing over there with Broadway. It's surge. A lot of it is surge pricing in order to help producers get back to recoupment. By recoupment, I mean simply returning investors' money. That's it. The people who actually privately fund Broadway to make it happen, they've got to get their money back, because if they're not able to get their money back, then they don't do another production. Yeah. And then it gets people's, they want their money to come back to them. Yeah. And so this time we were on dynamic pricing across the board from the beginning. So if you bought it in, you want to go to the show tonight, that's going to be the price. You want to go to the show next week on the same night, that's going to be the same price. Yeah. And so, but all shows are different.
No,
and there's
right,
a price point for every buyer.
I wasn't talking about the price point for the gross for the tickets. I was using that analogy in terms of the investors, in terms of the investors. But thank you for explaining that process too. So that's important to know. But in terms of getting that investment money, I felt like it took you less than a day to raise that money. Don't tell me the number of time, but was this your quickest raise?
It was my quickest raise it was the quickest raise I've ever done in a very competitive time of the year, because I started at the Tony season of last year.
What's that date?
Tony season started like
that's the fall.
I think about Tony season like the first week of May.
Yeah.
And so right when the nominations get announced for that year, and so that's when I started fundraising.
Audience, that is less than a year. That's less than 6 months, and I'll leave it at that. Right?
Thank you.
That goes so
But
fast.
it still
I'm
has.
very proud of you. Very
Thank
proud.
you.
Congratulations. Don't qualify it.
Okay.
Let the statements be the statements that they are. I'm very proud of you. And honestly, if you notice when he was making all of his phone calls to his agents, to Jake, and to his agents, his general management, not one call to me. But it's totally fine. I didn't want to participate in this.
I am happy to call you. I've got something cooking next.
It's
I
fine.
am happy.
It's fine.
I am happy to call
fine.
you for the next one.
I'm here.
If you want to answer the phone and put your name above title of a show,
yes,
then
I want to do
Mike
that.
Muse, you heard
because
it here.
I want to be able to pick.
I'm bringing Mike Muse to Broadway
Yeah.
as a producer. I'm calling you next.
Yeah, because I want to be able to pick the actors that play because you denied me on the last one for The Wiz.
Okay.
And so I want to redeem myself.
Okay.
I want to select a next great Tony Award winning.
I've got something coming up with a very, very well-known playwright and
Nice.
a director that we all know and love. She's a director. She's a choreographer. She's a producer. She's the executive director over at Grey's Anatomy. She's a former dancer. It's Debbie Allen.
Whoa.
So I will call you about it.
Wait, are we Doing Fame?
No.
Oh. You see, I'm trying to get in. You see,
I know,
I'm
I got
trying to
it.
get
You know,
okay,
right
yeah.
here is where you start paying. You want fame? Right here is where you start paying in sweat.
This is it, the sweat equity. Well, I want to talk about sweat equity for my deal. So let's do, for my deal, we're doing sweat equity. Because I'm going to come out and introduce the play every night before the curtains go up. I'm going to say, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Schubert Organization Theater. We are so happy to have you. You're in for an amazing treat. 90 minutes, no intermission, an incredible cast of players. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this incredible play by Brian Moreland, and then the curtains go up, and then I go to my seat. I have a little sip, and then we're going to sell a lot of tickets, and I'll get a little chickadee check.
All right.
And I'm so happy. And I'm definitely getting nominated for a Tony.
Okay, we're going to iron out those details. We have a lot of details to iron out, but that's okay. We'll start with that you are interested, and I will call you.
That's how easy you made it seem, right? And that's how great you are, Brian. I do want to mention Kenny Leon because if I'm not mistaken, Kenny did Raisin in the Sun.
That's right.
And he did it with Diddy, if I'm not mistaken.
He's done 2 productions of that.
Yeah.
Of that. Mm-hmm.
And I believe that there's something to be said about your first time in Broadway. And Raising the Sun was my first Broadway production that I saw.
Was
and
it that particular
It was
production?
that particular one.
Oh, well,
yeah, that's why
you saw a great cast.
Yeah, that's why I intentionally mentioned that one.
Not only that gentleman, you also saw it with that cast also had Audra McDonald, who's back on Broadway doing Gypsy right now.
Yeah,
and it also had Sophie Okonondo in that, and. That cast. Yeah.
It was a great cast. So
Beautiful
experienced Broadway on that, and then to do that one in particular. Mm-hmm. What was your first Broadway experience?
My first Broadway play was Beauty and the Beast.
Wow.
And it was Disney's Beauty and the Beast, and it was at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater, and it was the most spectacular, magical thing I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. Is that what made you, in that moment, did you know that you wanted to be on Broadway or participate in Broadway in some form or fashion?
Great question. I knew when I was in 3rd grade that I wanted to be in theater.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I did a play in 3rd grade. It was called Be What You Want to Be. I played Santa Claus. They asked my mother if I could be in the play. My mother said yes. They said, would you make the costume? My mother said yes. And then I did this play. And the only thing I could remember was the lights came up and the lights went down. And I said, I want to do that again. And that's all I've done is theater. And so I've had an odd job here and there because that's what you do when you're gigging around, but it's always been focused on theater. And so it's I love it. I've worked in the wardrobe union, I've worked on the lighting board, I've worked as an usher, I've worked now as a producer, I've worked on the stage, off the stage, all of it. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so let's stay there for a second. How did you know at such a young age that theater is what you wanted to do, like at 3rd grade?
I had a problem. I had a grammar problem as I was writing, and I had a teacher who said, you like to read plays. Like you should think of this writing as a play, and if you think of it as a play, you'll probably fix all these errors. And I did. And so I kept reading plays, and I was able to just read them for the stories, and I was curious about what was happening on the page, and the characters could live in my head as I'm reading it on the page. I don't know. It was weird. It's weird. I don't know.
It's not weird. The audience, I think you know me too well, audience, so you might know where I'm going right now. And Brian, what you may not know is that about the last 3 or 4 interviews in conversation we've had here on the Mike Muse Show, there has been this theme. And this theme is, I believe your gifts will make room for you. And I do believe that some people are called to do exactly what they're doing. I was speaking with the musical director of the Oscars, Michael Bearden, and I used to play saxophone, K through 12. I was really good at it, but I never saw a career or future in it. For me, it was just something I did recreationally. I was first chair in All City Jazz Band and all the things, but I knew it was going to come to an end after graduation, right? And this was not something you can make a career out of for me. But Michael Bearden saw it at an early age, and then he goes on to do what he's gone on to do. I'm listening to you. I did my first play, The King and the Mice, my first grade. I didn't get the role as king. I was pissed. Eric Thompson beat me. I had to play the mice. I was upset. And I was like, I never want to do this again, right? And so, but I never even thought to myself, it's going to be real. Whereas you in third grade, there's something about it that caught you and caught your attention. And here you are now, multiple plays in, 2 Tony nominations. There was something about this was what you are supposed to be doing.
Thank you. That means a lot. It means a lot today. Like on this particular day, it means more than you realize. But yes, I do feel called to it. It does not feel like work to me. It feels. I'm not making light of it. It has its peaks and valleys, like as everything does. But I like putting people together. I like saying, oh, I think Mike Muse would be really great on this show with this person. And if Gabriel said yes to this person, then Amanda would say yes to that. And that's, just kind of, it's human Tetris. And then sometimes it works out well and sometimes it doesn't. But it's a really, really fun thing to do. And then when you can see something that you've thought about in your head come to life and it works out, and then people buy a ticket and they come and then they applaud, that it's the best feeling in the entire world. Because they're up there doing what you know that they're called to do, and you had a small hand in only fostering the environment for it to grow. That's it.
I want to pull back because obviously Denzel and Jake are Denzel and Jake, but I think about Thoughts of a Colored Man, right? And I think about, certain individuals. I felt like their career trajectory changed for the positive, right? Like, is that what comes to mind when you think about this Tetris and these cast of characters and people you're bringing together and how this moment could change their lives?
I never think about how their life is going to change. I think about what they're going to do with that particular piece of work. And then if we're lucky enough, we were able to witness the side of it, that like the change. Thoughts of a Colored Man, written by Keenan Scott II, was life-changing for him. And now Keenan is writing on a multitude of things. And so, but it wasn't a journey where I met Keenan and thought, oh, I'm going to change your life today. No, it's like, this work must be seen. This story about these 7 black men must be told. And finding those 7 and getting on that journey and people saying yes, people's lives are being changed, not because of me saying, oh, I'm going to change your life, but because that work needed to be seen and shared on the stage.
So that's almost you just saying now that you're just a custodian of the work in that moment.
Yes, I really feel like my whole purpose is just to foster an environment for you to grow. That's it. And that comes at sometimes being a therapist. Sometimes you're a therapist, sometimes you're a decorator, sometimes you are the maintenance individual, sometimes you're getting coffee, sometimes you are just sitting there just to listen. And all of that goes into creating an environment for you to be and do what it is that you do best. I had not done anything else with Othello that anybody else couldn't do, in the sense that Kenny Leon said yes, and there's not a better man to have that vision to bring that show forward and tell that story now. There isn't a better human. And all I've done with Kenny is listen to Kenny's vision and say, great, now I'm going to get everything out of the way so that your vision can thrive. All I've done with Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal and Molly Osborne and Andrew Burlap is simply create a room that they can go ahead and be their absolute best selves.
There's a life lesson that can be pulled out from that. It's about being of the moment and not worrying about the tomorrow.
Yes. I don't think you can borrow a problem from tomorrow for today. You have to deal with tomorrow's problem when and if it's a problem?
Because I always say that everything I have, the success that I've had, isn't because I've written a 5 to 10 year plan. It was never, if I do this, then I can get this.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been, well, Mike, you agreed to do this, so give it 110%. And that's all you can do. And then whatever comes may come, whatever doesn't come, doesn't come. But until then, just keep sitting here and show up and always give 110%. And then that's where I get that narrative from, your gifts will make room for itself.
That's so much more eloquent than I could ever be.
No.
Felicia Rashad once said to me, I was having a problem when I was speaking with Felicia, and she said, I want you to imagine your life the way you want it to be, and then live that way. Practice living that way every day.
Wow.
That was the most profound thing, and I think about that with her.
Are you able to sit with that still?
Oh, yes. It's a practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a practice. Don't make me cry, Mike Muse.
No, I'm not.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not trying to make you cry at all. I mean, I think I enjoy letting moments live. I think because sometimes we can be, our mantras that we practice, our internal things that we do, it can be such an exercise, but you never know like what it's doing for people. And I look at this show as a guide for our audience. And I always like to compare it to, this isn't for people. I want my audience to be able to listen to a Broadway producer, and though they may not have interest in Broadway, there's still things can be applied to their life and to their situation, right? And so I think that is that in terms of, we talked about Denzel earning the right to be able to curate his next movements, his next step, because he put in the work, right? Like, you've earned the right to have more ease, right? And Broadway production, nothing's ever easy, but you've earned the right to have more ease. This isn't your first time, right? And so it's also true for the audience to say, like, they too can get this level of success, right? But there's some work that has to come with it. 'Cause in this era of social media, of this instant gratification, everyone thinks they can be a star immediately. And sometimes people don't slow down to do what you did and just be a custodian of the work of today, right?
That's deep. I think about, the first thing that comes to mind when you say that is I think about, I love listening to elders. Like I'm a product of teachers who really wanted to teach. Like, you know what I mean? Like they really, really want to impart. And so I think there's teachers walking around every day. And Jennifer Lewis was being interviewed, and she said, the elevator to success is broken. You must take the stairs. It doesn't come quickly. And if you're chasing that, you're going to keep chasing that. And it's never going to come.
That's beautiful. I mean, I'm thinking about right now your third grade teacher who was so transformative in your life, and said if you write your papers as if it's a play, your grammar will be solved and can be fixed. But that's all about, as you said, teachers who want to teach, right? Understanding that.
And someone who wants to listen.
Want to listen. Because teaching isn't one size fits all as we make it out to be, right? And so it's all about how can you curate, to borrow that word from an earlier conversation, how can you curate these lesson plans as experience for this child to learn this certain way? And then they may just freaking go to Broadway.
Actors are like that. Actors, actresses, they're like that. Each one, Kenny always speaks about, each one has a language. And you need to figure out, what is their language? Jake Gyllenhaal has a language. Denzel Washington has a language. Molly Osborne has a language. Andrew Burnett has a language. You have to figure out what is their language so you guys can communicate.
When is that moment for you that there's never a moment of rest for a producer on Broadway, right?
No, there isn't.
There's never a moment of rest. But when does that moment usually come for you? Is it opening night? Is it the night before? Is it when the first time you saw the curtain go up? And this isn't tech rehearsal, but like the first time. When is that moment for you when you can step back and say,
Closing night.
Really?
Closing night. Oh yeah. It's not till closing night. We're still in previews right now, which means we are rehearsing during the daytime. So the cast is in the building right now. They will have a very small hour-and-a-half break, and then they will do the show tonight, and then we will have a production meeting right at the end of that. And that meeting will start at about 11 o'clock, and then you get out of the theater about midnight, which means you get home around 1:30. You might need to eat and settle, so you're not going to bed until 2:30, and then you're right back up in the theater for your 8 a.m. So it's a long process, and then you're at the show to see the changes and the growth that's happening at the show. So and then everything's leading up to opening night, and your critics will come and you'll welcome them, and then after your critics, you want to talk with your investors and your co-producers, your full team, because it takes a village. All of them matter to us, and they will all have notes and things to share. So you take that all in, and they call and they have questions, and then after that, you're actually open. And then once you're actually open, you're going to go through a full marketing meeting, and that meeting is going to pull quotes from the critics, and then, you know, all the good stuff. You'll change the marquee on the front of the house. It'll all look different. You'll come up with a new radio ad or a new TV ad and a new print ad, something in digital. And then after that, you're going to be running the show. It's TLC time at that point in time. Wow. And then you're going to keep doing that until you close. So it's there's no real off time, because you're available 24 hours, and not only to the people in your company, whether they're on stage or off stage or in the front of house, you're also available to all of your investors and all of your co-pros. They can call, they can text, they can email, and they do.
So now we're at closing.
Mm-hmm.
What feeling are you feeling? Are you able to?
It's very cathartic. Closing is it's sad, but it's very cathartic. It's a huge wow. There's a collective wow, we made it. That moment also happens on the first preview. There's a collective, oh, we made it. And then after that, then you unplug. I always book a 3-day getaway at the end of a show just to go someplace. I don't want to go far, because it's not about the journey. It's about getting someplace to pull the plug away from the wall and just reset, to let this go.
How important is it for you to take a moment, whether it's the preview day or the closing day, to say, I'm proud of myself?
I haven't had that moment, so I'm gonna work on that.
Well, if I can say man to man to you, my friend, make sure you take time for that moment. What you just walked us through is incredibly challenging and difficult. And even someone who goes to Broadway and is a patron of the arts, I didn't even know all of that entailed. And so you deserve to tell yourself that you are proud of yourself. You can't go through this life being so busy about the mundane that you forget to say that you are proud of yourself. Celebrate yourself. You're deserving to be celebrated. My friend Joel just texted me a couple of days ago, and he said, sit and bask. And he said, Black men deserve the right to bask. And so thank you, Joel Steingold, for that. And so, Brian Moreland, you deserve the right to sit and bask. What you've done is incredible. You have moved mountains. And so find some time tonight, just a quiet moment in the theater, just to say you did that. Good job. And go back to your meetings.
Thank you for that.
I'm very proud of you. I couldn't think of a better way to close on the closing. I'm so excited for Othello. Audience, you will be too. Make sure you get your tickets before June, because it is limited. And so we can all see Brian in theater and tell him how much we are proud of him for bringing such an amazing cultural moment that is going to be transformative for Broadway and for all those who encounter this play. Brian Moreland, thank you so much, man. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too, Mike.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And congratulations. Till next time, folks. Peace.